So today we're doing something a little different. For the last 2 days or so on my Twitter, I've gotten numerous requests to do another review video. Many of you made it abundantly clear that you want to hear me talk about the Outlaws and Gladiators. Now initially I had no plans to talk about it, but the sheer amount of requests I got made me change my mind. Now usually, when a certain game catches my interest, I like to go over the whole game, but today I'm going to be talking about just one map. I know this game was kind of an upset, but King's Row was the only time this game seriously got me excited. The other maps kind of felt like the Gladiators throwing and getting completely outplayed by a well-prepared Outlaws team. But when King's Row came on, I was 100% focused on the game at all times. This map was a work of art, and I wanted to take the time to appreciate the level of entertainment it provided us with. In my opinion, it was one of the best individual maps we have seen in the Overwatch League in a long time. It had everything you'd ever want. It was close, the intensity was high, and there was 5 head level strats coming out of both sides. It's a bit of a shorter video today, but I think you guys will still enjoy it. Alrighty, let's dive right into this thing. So the Gladiators find themselves down 2-0 with their backs against the wall, so they decide to pick King's Row, which they're notoriously good at. And it was clear that they wanted to set the tone early by attacking first, and that's a strategy I tend to really like. Sometimes all you need is a little momentum push and suddenly you have a pulse again. So that's fine and well, right? But what could the Gladiators do here? They were getting pummeled by Dante all game, and defeat seemed inevitable. Well, head coach of the Gladiators, Deepay, had a plan. The big brain ideas carried over from the Atlanta series here. You start by subbing in LH Cloudy, indicating that you want to take advantage of the strong Reinhardt map you're on. And just like with the Atlanta game, Cloudy's aggressive and unpredictable play was the focal point of the strategy. The rotations and positioning, they were all centered around him, and we bared witness to that right out of the gate. They come out with a somewhat standard looking composition. Nothing crazy, they just want the Reinhardt instead of the Orisa. But as soon as they walk out of spawn, Sideshow practically sees the future. He tells us to keep an eye on Cloudy because he might end up in some strange positions, and he hits it right on the money. Immediately, Cloudy, Big Goose, and Kevster, they all split from the rest of the team and speed into the hotel. Meanwhile, Space, Birdwing, and Chaz go through the choke to temporarily keep the enemy fire on them. It was only for like a brief second or two, but that was all the time their teammates needed to make a rotation close to the point. Now obviously, this sudden movement is quite alarming to the Houston Outlaws players, but they're in a tough spot. You need to turn your attention to the enemies approaching you, but you could be vulnerable to poke from the other 3 Gladiators members in the choke. And clearly they didn't proceed with enough caution, as Linkser practically got caught with his pants down. Now normally, in this type of situation, if you're the Outlaws, you can play slowly, just utilize your high ground, give up some ticks if you have to, and maybe you'll get another fight once Linkser comes back, but this is no normal situation you're in. LH Cloudy is coming for you. In what looks like something you'd see on your favorite streamer's ranked game, Kevster gives Cloudy a boost with his wall right onto the high ground. And while he doesn't get any kills out of it, it does provide a good enough distraction for the rest of his team to get into position to clean up the rest of the kills in a very scrappy fight. But don't think it's over. This is only the beginning. The crazy unique plays continue, and the Gladiators waste no time in setting the next one up. Yet again, Space goes through main to try and draw fire. Meanwhile, everybody besides Birdwing are going on their own separate mission. You've got Big Goose scouting from the high ground up on the buildings, feeding his team information on when to strike. And keep in mind that Houston has no idea where Cloudy is while this is going on. Next thing you know, Cloudy trots down the stairs. Him and Shaz attempt to do a super crazy quick amp matrix fire strike combo to catch Houston off guard. While this combo doesn't find any kills, the rest of the team takes advantage of the sheer amount of attention it receives by getting enough kills to keep that payload moving. Then, on the following fight, they do the same thing as we saw when they first unlocked the payload. They do this nice little 3-3 split, and Meko sees his life flash before his eyes from a Ryan May Lucio flank. The Gladiators are getting through the streets phase with a near 5-minute time bank. At this point, Houston looks completely lost. Every fight they appear ridiculously confused. These bizarre divide and conquer strategies are so weird and so unexpected that the Outlaws have no idea what to do about it. It's such an untraditional way to play. No other team in the league is trying this type of stuff. The Gladiators are simply using their own unique style, which is something I can really appreciate. Honestly, I wish more teams would try it. Anyway, back to the game, the Gladiators kind of just breeze through the rest of the map at this point. They get slowed down for a little bit, but eventually they chase the Outlaws back to spawn basically, allowing for them to finish King's Row with a solid time bank. After all of that confusion and 5-headery, how would the Outlaws respond on their attack? How do you match something that ridiculous? Well, it would seem that Harsha and his squad came into this situation prepared. Apparently, they had their own set strategy in mind to out-bamboozle the bamboozlers. So to start, they come out showing links around the Symmetra and Dante and the Mei, but the way Houston went about using them was very smart. Because you can't see the enemy roster until 15 seconds have gone by, Dante and Linkser opted to stay out of sight using the left-hand corridor to try and catch the Gladiators off guard, and it worked. With not a second to waste, they pulled the big brain plays out. Linkser gets a nice boost from the Mei wall, and he sets up a beautiful teleporter onto the high ground right behind enemy lines. But guess who wouldn't be joining his team on the journey? That's right, it's Linkser. He goes back to spawn and swaps to Widowmaker. Houston gave the Gladiators a taste of their own medicine. There's a crossfire they have to deal with now. There's the pressure of 5 enemies hitting you from one side and the threat of Linkser landing headshots on the other. Now, to give credit where it's due, LA did take immediate action and they rotated out of Linkser's sightline, but there was far too much poke from everybody else to sustain. Harsha beat DP at his own game. You honestly love to see it. Outlaws take the point, and the payload pretty much doesn't stop rolling during the streets phase. They showcased great efficiency too. They were getting amazing value out of single ultimates, and before you know it, the Outlaws have a similar time to the Gladiators heading into the final section of the map. But this is where things start to get dicey. The Gladiators have been saving up ultimates, and Houston can only hope to force them out with a few dry pushes at this point. Or so I thought. The Glads used their ults, yeah, but they got too greedy. They overextended and they paid the price. Houston's moving the payload again, and now they have resources to work with. Gladiators are now in the danger zone. They need to play perfectly or they are somehow going to be at a disadvantage heading into these extra rounds. And I have to say, the Glads did a pretty good job with their execution here. The Outlaws went all in but still got rolled. Now I want to fast forward a bit later in the round. Let's talk about some more Cloudy and Kevster shenanigans, shall we? So with a minute 40 left on the clock, Kevster elevates Cloudy and himself onto that little window on the right hand side from the defender's point of view. With Houston coming out of spawn, they were literally clueless. Before they could even turn the corner, Cloudy comes off the top rope with a ginormous earth shatter. Tell me this isn't what you'd see in your favorite streamers' ranked games. This man is going for all sorts of crazy stuff. LH Cloudy is looking like Bumper on a budget with these insane antics. Again, these types of plays are so ridiculously stupid, but they are so absurd that you would never expect it. Like, who goes for this kind of stuff in Overwatch League 2020? It's not something you possibly could have been ready for. Cloudy and the Gladiators are changing the game with this kind of stuff. They are utilizing Reinhardt in amazingly entertaining ways. Anyway, after that, the Gladiators simply play for overtime because that's all they need to draw at worst on this map. They throw their ults out, they get some kills here and there, and that's enough to slow things down enough for Houston to run out of time. I gotta give credit where it's due though to Dante, Meko, and Raucus. They really clutched it out during overtime to at least give their team a chance to tie this map. Big props goes to Meko for eating Kevster's Blizzard, by the way. I know the trance was up and all, but the Gladiators might have been able to turn that with some focus fire, or at least the crowd control could have stalled enough for more respawns. Because they couldn't punch the payload in quick enough, now Houston was facing a tall but doable order. They couldn't give up a tick, but holding for a little under 3 minutes is not some impossible task. Adjust and learn from the last time, and there's a chance. But of course, that's a lot easier said than done, as Houston fans would quickly find out the hard way. The rotation through Hotel happens yet again, but this time everybody is coming along for the ride. Linkser gets caught out by himself again, Repel can't come quick enough to the aid of Raucus, and the rest is history. GG's, well played, Gladiators won a crazy map. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I thoroughly enjoyed this map. So many twists and turns. The execution of these super cool strategies made it well worth watching from beginning to end. It was amazing. I know this series wasn't particularly close, but at least this map made for an awesome bright spot. The sheer amount of creativity practically made me cry tears of joy. That's what makes watching Overwatch at the pro level so fun. The amazing strategies, the mind games, the creativity, it's what I live for. It's an amazing thing. It's rare to see that many set strategies and all that bizarre behavior happen on the same map, so I really wanted to highlight it and give it the attention it rightfully deserves. With that said though, that's basically going to wrap it up. I know it wasn't a full-length recap like you're used to seeing, but I still hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and maybe if you're interested in seeing more of these one-map spin-off videos, then hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and tell me you want more down in the comments section. And if you wish to further support me, then consider following my Twitter at ATP Overwatch, joining the community Discord through the link in the description, and becoming a channel member. And as always, thanks so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.